everybody, and welcome to night number 5 of History Bedtime Stories. In bed, in our pajamas, it's St. Patrick's Day, which means we're talking about the Irish in Detroit. Now, Detroit has always had a tremendous Irish population, with the earliest immigrants coming to the city around 1815. But once the Erie Canal opened, we started getting cheaper shipping. Travel by steamship was safer and quicker, and a giant flux of Irish immigrants started making their way to our fair city. Between 1830 and 1840, we see a lot of Irish arrivals in the city, and they found their own neighborhood just west of downtown Detroit called Corktown. Corktown, founded in 1834, is the oldest continuously operating, still in existence neighborhood in Detroit, and it's named for County Cork in Ireland, where many of the original inhabitants had been born. But with the Great Potato Famine of the 1840s in Ireland, a mold was growing on the potatoes, making them unedible for humans, and it meant that Irish, by the millions, had to flee starvation and come to America. As they start making their way into our country, some settle on the American East Coast, but many make their way over into Detroit, and what drew them were two main things. First, good-paying jobs. We had shipping, we had factories, we had mining. We were the stove capital of the world, the cigar capital of the world. And as these workers come getting these high-paying jobs, traveling by those more affordable and safer steamships through the Erie Canal, the Irish population of Detroit grows. Secondly, we were a Catholic city. We are a Catholic city. Founded in 1701 by the French as Catholic, that had a huge draw for the Irish Catholics that sort of gave them pause to come here instead of settle in what had been a traditionally Protestant city on the American East Coast. In 1808, long before the major waves of Irish to Detroit, we actually have our very first St. Patrick's Day celebrations as banquets. By the 1830s, though, we are in full-blown parade mode. In 1833, a man named Father Bernard O'Kavanagh convinces some wealthy Irish Detroiters to fund his purchase of the first Protestant society building in Corktown. That building becomes home to the Most Holy Trinity Parish, the first and oldest Irish Catholic parish in the western United States. Now, the parish is still in existence. Their church is beautiful and in Corktown. Although they have outgrown their church many times, the parish has stayed in existence. In 1834, Father O'Kavanagh sets the first parade in motion. Wanting to have bands, he approaches other churches. And in the very first St. Patrick's Day parade in Detroit, the band was the Polish church that actually showed up and performed as the marching band. German and French revelers came as well, and the city celebrated a multi-ethnicity St. Patrick's Day. In the 1830s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, this became a huge political engine. You had groups coming and sponsoring dinners, sponsoring charity drives. The Benevolent St. Patrick's Society was formed here in Detroit, and a man named John Patton was one of its very first presidents. He would go on to be elected mayor of the city of Detroit in 1858, the first Irish-born mayor in our fair city. Now, we get a bit funny in 1835 when Detroit and America start having a lot of anti-Irish sentiment. Signs appear next to help wanted ads that say Irish need not apply, and a downturn in the economy was blamed on new Irish immigrants. This xenophobia was unfounded. It certainly wasn't the new Irish immigrants' fault that the economy had taken a little bit of a dip. But it became so bad that the Detroit Free Press editorializes in 1835, "To the adopted citizens of Irish birth, we say, you are American. You came here at the invitation of our laws. You became citizens by the fulfillment of our conditions, and your rights shall be defended." 2 years before Michigan became a state, the Detroit Free Press in the city of Detroit was saying, if you are Irish American, you are American. This would later be editorialized differently during World War II for German Americans and Japanese Americans, differently again during World War I for Russian and German immigrants who have become American. This idea that no matter who you are, on St. Patrick's Day you're Irish could also be said no matter who you are or where you came from. If you're a Detroiter, you're a Detroiter. In 1868, there was a bit of a hooey when a rainstorm dropped buckets and buckets and buckets, and it became so wet that the Detroit roads, which at the time were just hard-packed mud, became giant slip and slides. The Detroit News said, "No man, woman, or child marching in today's St. Patrick's Day parade festivities completed the parade unstained by mud, unblemished by slips, falls, and slides to the finish line of that parade." As Detroit goes into 1869, we have 230 Irish visitors, members of the Irish Republican Army, who come to march in Detroit's parade and raise funds for their cause. The Irish Republican Army is more commonly known as the IRA. In the 1940s, the World War II sort of political feeling situation in America had isolationist parties marching in the parade, carrying signs that said, among other things, "Europe's war, we shall not send American boys." Those groups would then change their tune following the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and in 1944, you had women marching carrying Gold Star banners for soldiers, sailors, and airmen lost in World War II. During the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, the parade started being done on the Sunday before St. Patrick's Day and became a huge day for Corktown bars and restaurants. In fact, for many Corktown bars, this is the biggest day of the year for them. So with that in mind, we did what we hope you will do. With all of the bars having to close, we purchased gift certificates. So ladies and gentlemen, if you like, comment, and share this link, on Friday we will pick 5 names randomly from everyone who liked, shared, and commented down below in the comments, and we will award you with gift certificates to some of our favorite Corktown bars. We hope that if you weren't able to support them this year because of social distancing and the requirement for all bars to close, you'll consider visiting one of the many great Corktown bars digitally and purchasing a gift card off of their website, or just put a couple bucks aside to know that when we all get through this, and we're all Detroiters, we're going to show up and support them, make sure they're able to recover from the economics of what's happening right now in our city. But ladies and gentlemen, live from bed in my pajamas, I want to say a very happy St. Patrick's Day, and we'll see you on the other side of this. Wash your hands.